My girlfriend was cheating on me with another man, telling me she was just working late. She thought I was too simple to notice, not realizing that all her photos with her lover were automatically saved to our shared account. Now, after what I did, her lover has left her, and she's chasing me, begging to start over. So look, I never thought I'd be that guy writing one of these posts, but here we are, 3 years into what I thought was a solid relationship, and I'm about to tell you how a simple tech favor turned into the wildest ride of my life. Megan and I have been living together in Austin for almost 3 years. I worked as an engineer at a tech company downtown, pulling decent money. She did freelance copywriting, which basically meant she spent most days in coffee shops with white walls, sipping almond milk lattes and typing away. For her birthday that year, I got her a MacBook, not the base model either, the good one with all the upgrades. She was thrilled, said it was perfect for her client work. About a week later, we're sitting in our kitchen on a Saturday morning, sun streaming through the window, both of us with coffee, everything feeling normal. I noticed she was struggling with something on a new laptop and offered to help set up her iCloud. My thought process was simple. Sync everything between her phone and laptop. Make her life easier. Be the helpful boyfriend. She smiled, pushed her hair back, and told me I was such a genius. Took me maybe 2 minutes. Connected her device to a shared Apple ID so we could swap photos easier, set up the automatic backup. At the time, it felt almost romantic in a weird way, like we were so open with each other that sharing digital space was just another level of trust. I remember thinking how mature we were as a couple. None of that jealous checking phones nonsense. We had each other's passwords. We trusted each other completely. That's how solid things felt. Our routine was simple but good. I'd wake up early, make us both coffee, kiss her goodbye, and head out into Austin traffic. She'd usually be at some coffee shop by noon, laptop open, doing her thing. The freelance life seemed perfect for her. No boss, flexible hours, creative work. She'd tell me about her clients over dinner, mostly small businesses needing website copy or social media posts. Nothing too exciting, but it paid her share of rent and she seemed happy. Looking back now, I realize I never really questioned the details. When she said she had a meeting, I believed her. When she mentioned working late on a project, I figured that's just how freelancing goes. I trusted her completely. Life felt stable, you know? That comfortable kind of boring where you're not worried about drama, because there isn't any. We do Taco Tuesday religiously, hit up the food trucks on Rainy Street on weekends, occasionally catch live music. Standard Austin stuff. The MacBook setup was just me being helpful, doing what engineers do. I like solving problems, making her life easier. She appreciated it too, always bragging to her friends about how handy I was with computers. That Saturday morning felt productive. We spent the rest of that weekend being lazy, ordering Thai food, watching some documentary. We both fell asleep during. Everything was normal. Everything was fine. I had no idea that those 2 minutes of iCloud setup would become the thread that unraveled everything. That the same technology one used every day at work would become a window into a reality I wasn't prepared for. See, when you're an engineer, you understand how systems work. When devices sync, they share everything. Photos, messages, locations, all of it flowing seamlessly through the cloud. Beautiful technology, really. But here's what I didn't consider. Convenience cuts both ways. When you open that door of complete transparency, you better be ready for whatever walks through it. I went back to work Monday feeling good about life. Had my coffee, dealt with some code reviews, grabbed lunch with my buddy Mike, who was dealing with his own relationship drama. I remember actually feeling grateful that Megan and I didn't have those problems. That's the thing about comfort, though. It makes you stop paying attention to the little details that might not add up. When everything seems fine, you stop looking for problems. I had no reason to doubt her, no reason to question anything. About 10 days after setting up the iCloud sync, I came home from work absolutely wiped. We've been dealing with some server issues all day, and I had that weird metallic smell on my hands from being elbow deep in hardware. You know that feeling when you just want to crash on the couch with some leftover pizza and zone out? That was me. I grabbed a beer from the fridge, settle on the couch, and open my laptop to check if any work emails needed attention. Open up photos to find some screenshots I'd taken earlier that week for a project documentation. That's when I saw it. A notification at the top of the screen. New image added from another device. Didn't think much of it at first. Probably just Megan taking photos of something for her Instagram or whatever. She was always snapping pictures of her coffee or some aesthetic nonsense for her freelance brand. I almost ignored it completely, but something made me click. Maybe curiosity, maybe boredom, maybe the universe deciding it was time I knew the truth. The photo loaded in my brain, just stopped processing for a second. It was Megan, standing in what was obviously a hotel room. Not our apartment, definitely a hotel. The lighting was that specific warm glow hotels use, and there was a window behind her showing the Austin skyline at night. She was wearing the dress. You know when you buy someone something special, and it becomes their favorite thing? I'd gotten her this dress for Christmas last year, dark green. Fit her perfectly. She loved it so much she'd get upset if I suggested dry cleaning it too often because she wanted to wear it constantly. And there she was, in that dress, in a hotel room that wasn't ours. But that's not even the part that made my stomach drop. In the corner of the frame, clear as day, was a man's hand holding a champagne glass. Just a hand and part of the sleeve, but enough to know she wasn't alone. I sat there staring at my screen like an idiot. The beer in my hand forgotten, condensation dripping onto my jeans. My engineering brain kicked into autopilot, doing what it does best when emotions get too complicated. Focusing on data. Right-clicked the photo, selected Get Info, started reading through the metadata, like I was debugging code at work. Location services had been on. Austin Downtown Marriott. Date taken yesterday. Timestamp, 8:47 p.m. Yesterday, while I was at home thinking she was at some coffee shop finishing up a project for a client, while I texted her asking if she wanted to pick up Thai food on the way home, and she'd said she already ate because she was working through dinner. I went through every possibility in my head. Maybe it was an old photo that just synced late? No, the metadata doesn't lie. Maybe she was meeting a client there, with champagne, in the dress I bought her, at almost 9 at night. The mental gymnastics people do when they don't want to believe something is honestly impressive. I was sitting there trying to logic my way out of what was right in front of my face. I heard her keys in the door about 20 minutes later. 20 minutes I'd spent just sitting there, staring at that photo, my brain slowly catching up to what my gut already knew. Closed my laptop. Took a breath. Another sip of beer that now tasted like nothing. She walked in looking normal. Hair a bit messy, bag over her shoulder, that tired smile she always had after a long day. Kicked off her shoes by the door like she always did. I watched her, and it was like seeing a stranger wear my girlfriend's face. Everything was the same, but nothing was the same. You know what I mean? Asked her how her day was. Kept my voice steady, casual. Years of sitting through boring meetings at work had taught me how to keep my face neutral, even when I wanted to scream. She launched into this whole story about how terrible her day had been. Some client from California being difficult. Back-to-back Zoom calls. Her laptop acting up. The Wi-Fi at the coffee shop being trash. She was animated, frustrated, completely convincing. Watched her pull things out her bag. Laptop, phone, water bottle, and then a new lipstick. One of those expensive ones from Sephora that she usually only bought when she was treating herself for landing a big client. She caught me looking and smiled, held it up, told me she needed a pick-me-up after such a frustrating day, so she'd run to the mall between meetings. I nodded, said something about how she deserved it. The words came out automatic, like a script I wasn't aware I was reading from. The thing that got me wasn't even the lying. It was how easy it was for her, how naturally the story flowed, all the little details that made it believable. The frustration in her voice about the California client seemed so real. If I didn't have that photo burned into my brain, I would have believed every word. She went to take a shower, and I sat there on that couch feeling like the floor had disappeared beneath me. 3 years together. 3 years of thinking I knew this person inside and out. 3 years of trust that apparently meant nothing. My phone buzzed. Text from Mike asking, if I wanted to grab drinks this weekend. Normal life continuing around me while mine was imploding in slow motion. Didn't respond. Opened my laptop again. Looked at the photo one more time, because apparently I'm a glutton for punishment. Zoomed in on details I'd missed before. The hotel room was nice, probably one of their suites. Bottle of champagne on the table in the background. 2 glasses. Mood lighting. This wasn't some spur-of-the-moment thing. This was planned. Intentional. The engineer and me started thinking about the iCloud sync. Every photo she took on her phone would upload automatically. Every screenshot, every selfie, everything. If there was one photo, there would be more. The cloud doesn't discriminate. It just syncs. Part of me wanted to confront her right then. Storm into the bathroom and demand answers. But another part, the part that was already hurt and angry and feeling stupid, wanted to know everything first. Wanted to see the full picture before making any moves. So I did what any self-respecting engineer would do. I opened up the iCloud settings and made sure notifications were on for all new uploads. Then I disabled the visible notifications on her devices. She'd never know her photos were still syncing to my laptop, but she wouldn't get any alerts about it. Cover my tracks. Clear my browser history. Made sure everything looked normal. She came out of the shower in her pajamas, hair wet, looking relaxed. Asked what I wanted for dinner. Suggested we order from that Italian place we both liked. I agreed. Pulled up the menu on my phone like nothing was wrong. We ordered pasta and garlic bread and sat on the couch watching some show on Netflix that I couldn't tell you a single thing about because my brain was somewhere else entirely. She fell asleep against my shoulder halfway through the episode. I sat there frozen, feeling her breathing steady and slow, and wondered who the hell I was sitting next to. The photo was still on my laptop. The metadata still showed yesterday's date. The Marriott downtown still existed. None of it was going away just because I was pretending everything was fine. But here's the thing about pretending. Once you start, it's hard to stop, because stopping means dealing with reality, and reality was looking pretty terrible from where I was sitting. The next few days were the weirdest of my life. I went to work, came home, had dinner with Megan, watched TV, went to bed. Everything looked normal from the outside, but inside, I was barely holding it together. Every time my laptop pinged with a new iCloud notification, my heart would drop, and they kept coming. Not every day, but enough. Enough to build a picture I really didn't want to see, but couldn't look away from. Day 2 after the first photo, another notification. This time it was a restaurant. Some fancy place downtown with those Edison bulbs and exposed brick walls. Megan sitting at a table, wine glass in front of her, smiling at whoever was taking the picture. The angle suggested the photographer was sitting across from her. Checked the metadata again, because that's what I did now apparently. Morton Steakhouse, 7 p.m. That was the night she told me she was having dinner with a potential client who wanted to discuss a big project. Said it might run late, so I shouldn't wait up. I'd gone to bed at 11 that night. Figured she was still networking or whatever. She'd come home around 1 a.m. Slipped into bed quietly, and I pretended to be asleep. Now I knew why she'd been out so late. Day 4. A photo from a parking garage. Just her leaning against a car that definitely wasn't hers. Black Mercedes, looked expensive. She was laughing, head thrown back. That genuine laugh she used to have with me. The photos were building a timeline, a relationship, something that had been going on while I was sitting at home like an idiot, trusting her completely. Work became my escape, which is funny because I usually couldn't wait to leave. But now, I'd volunteer for extra projects, stay late, anything to avoid going home and pretending everything was fine. Mike noticed, asked if everything was okay. Told him I was just stressed about a deadline. Easier than explaining the truth. The truth being that my girlfriend was living a double life, and I was apparently running surveillance on her through Apple's cloud services. Not exactly casual conversation material. Then came the video. That's what really broke me. It was short, maybe 15 seconds. The kind of video you take without thinking, just capturing a moment. Megan was in another hotel room. This one had floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Colorado River. Same view the fancy hotels on Riverside have. Champagne bottle on the table again. She was laughing, holding a glass, and then a man's voice came through clear as day, not just background noise, but actually talking to her. The voice said something that made my blood run cold. Asked if I suspected anything. Used those exact words. Like they'd been discussing me. Like I was some obstacle they needed to work around. And Megan, my girlfriend of 3 years, the woman I've been thinking about proposing to, laughed. Actually laughed. Said I was too straight-laced to ever figure it out. Said even if she told me directly, I probably wouldn't believe it because I trusted her too much. I watched that video 3 times. Then a 4th. Each time hoping I'd misheard, that maybe the audio was unclear, that I was wrong about what she'd said. But I wasn't wrong. The metadata showed it was from 2 nights ago. The night she'd said she was exhausted and going to bed early. The night I'd stayed up working on some code, and she texted me goodnight at 9 p.m. She'd been at a hotel, drinking champagne, laughing about how clueless I was. Something shifted in me after that video. The hurt turned into something colder. Anger, yeah, but calculated anger. The kind that thinks and plans instead of just exploding. I'm an engineer. I solve problems methodically, break them down into components, understand each piece, then figure out the solution. This situation was just another problem that needed solving. First step, gather all the information. I went through every photo that had synced over the past 2 weeks, downloaded them all to a secure folder, organized them by date, built a timeline of her activities. Second step, documentation. I took screenshots of the metadata, showing locations and timestamps, cross-referenced them with texts she'd sent me on those days, showing what she told me versus where she actually was. The discrepancies were everywhere once I started looking. The coffee shop where she claimed to be working was across town from where her photos showed she actually was. The client meeting that ran late was actually drinks at a hotel bar. The girls' night out with her friend Sarah. Sarah's Instagram showed she was out of town that weekend. I became obsessive about it. Every spare moment at work, I'd be checking the iCloud sync. Every notification made me anxious and angry at the same time. Part of me wanted it to stop, wanted there to be no more evidence. But another part needed to see everything, needed to know the full extent of betrayal. Living with her during this time was surreal. We'd have breakfast together, and she'd talk about her plans for the day. I'd nod and ask questions, knowing that half of what she was telling me was probably fiction. We'd watch movies on the couch, and she'd snuggle up to me like nothing was wrong. The hardest part? She was good at it. Really good. There were no obvious tells, no suspicious behavior that would have made me question her if I didn't already know. She didn't guard her phone weird or get defensive when I asked about her day. She was just normal Megan, living her normal life, except nothing about it was normal. At night, lying next to her, I'd wonder how long this had been going on. The iCloud sync only gave me visibility from when I'd set up. What about before that? Months? Longer? Mike finally cornered me at work, said I looked like death and needed to talk about whatever was going on. We grabbed lunch at this taco place near the office, and I almost told him everything. Had the words right there, ready to spill out, but I didn't. Saying out loud would make it real in a way it wasn't yet. As long as I kept it to myself, I could still control the narrative, control how and when this ended. Told him I was dealing with some family stuff. He seemed skeptical but didn't push. Probably thought I was being weird about work stress or something. By day 7, I had enough evidence to confront her 10 times over. Photos, videos, location data, timestamps, all of it backed up and organized. But I still wasn't ready, because confronting her meant ending this, and ending this meant blowing up my entire life. 3 years together, a shared apartment, shared friends, shared everything. Once I pulled this trigger, there was no going back. Life as I knew would be over. So I waited, kept collecting evidence like it would somehow change anything. Kept pretending everything was fine, while dying inside a little more each day. The breaking point came on day 9. Another video synced, longer this time, almost a minute. Megan was clearly tipsy, being playful, flirty in a way she used to be with me, but hadn't been in months. The man's voice again, clearer this time. Older, confident. The kind of voice that's used to getting what it wants. He was telling her about some contract, some opportunity he could help her with. Classic manipulation dressed up as mentorship. And she was eating it up, laughing at his jokes, touching his arm in the frame, playing the game. That's when I realized she wasn't some victim here. She'd made choices. Active choices allied me every single day to build this separate life, to risk everything we had for whatever this was. I closed my laptop, sat in the dark living room of our apartment. She was out again, another late night, another lie I pretended to believe. Made a decision right then. I wasn't going to yell or throw things or have some dramatic confrontation where she could cry and explain and try to manipulate me into forgiveness. No, I was going to do this my way. Calculated. Clean. She wanted to play games? Fine. But I was about to change the rules. Opened my laptop back up and started planning. Not revenge exactly, more like justice. She'd get exactly what she'd given me. A blind side she never saw coming. The engineer in me appreciated the symmetry of it. The technology that exposed her betrayal would be the same technology that would ensure she understood the consequences of her choices. I had all the pieces. Now I just needed to decide when and how to play them. 3 days after I decided to end this my way, I made my move. It was a Friday, and I texted Megan around lunch asking if she wanted to have a nice dinner home that night. No phones, no work, just like we used to do. Her response came back almost immediately with a bunch of heart emojis. She said she'd been feeling like we'd been distant lately and would love that. The irony would have been funny if it wasn't so depressing. I left work early and stopped at Central Market, picked up 2 good ribeyes, fresh asparagus, ingredients for mashed potatoes, grabbed a bottle of wine I knew she liked. The checker probably thought I was planning to propose based on how much I was spending. In a way, I guess I was proposing something. Just not what they'd think. Got home and started cooking. I'm decent in the kitchen when I try, and I was trying that night. Wanted everything perfect. Not because I cared about the meal, but because the contrast would make what came after hit harder. She got home around 6:30, came into the kitchen, and immediately smiled. Saw the steaks, the wine, me actually putting effort into plating things nicely. She wrapped her arms around me from behind while I was finishing up the potatoes. Told me this was exactly what she needed, that I was so thoughtful, that she'd been stressed with work, and this was perfect. I just nodded, kept cooking. Wondered how many times she'd come home and hug me like this right after being with him. We sat down to eat, and I'd set everything up nice. Candles on the table, good music playing, the works. She'd change into the green dress, the same one from the hotel photo. Whether she realized she was wearing it or not, I don't know. Maybe it had become her lucky dress or something. Funny how that works. Dinner was good. The steak came out perfect, medium rare like she liked it. We talked about random stuff, work gossip. This documentary she wanted us to watch, whether we should finally get that dog we've been talking about. She was relaxed, happy, drinking her wine and laughing at my jokes. At one point she reached across the table and squeezed my hand, said she'd miss us being like this, said she loved me. I said it back. The words came out automatic, muscle memory, from 3 years of saying them. Don't know if I meant them anymore, or if they were just sounds I was making. We finished eating, and she started to get up to clear the plates. I told her to sit, said I'd handle cleanup, that she should just relax and finish her wine. Went to the living room area of our open-concept apartment. Our TV was mounted on the wall, and my laptop was sitting on the coffee table, where I deliberately left it earlier. Picked it up, connected it to the TV via AirPlay. She was still at the table, back to me, scrolling through her phone, probably texting him. For all I knew, didn't matter anymore. Opened a folder I'd created. All the photos, all the videos, organized by date. Queued them up in a slideshow. My hands were steady. 3 years of visualizing this moment had prepared me. Hit play. The first photo appeared on our 65-inch TV. Megan at the Marriott, the green dress, the champagne glass visible in the frame. Let it sit there for a few seconds. Heard her wine glass at the table behind me. The sound of her standing up, chair scraping against the floor. Next photo. The restaurant. Her laughing, wine glass, intimate lighting. Turned around to look at her. She was frozen halfway between the table and where I was standing, hand over her mouth, face completely white. Her phone had dropped to the floor. Next photo. The parking garage, the Mercedes. Her looking way too happy. Her mouth was moving, but no sound came out. Just a silent opening and closing like a fish out of water. Then the video started playing. The hotel room, the river view, the champagne. His voice asking if I suspected anything. Her laugh, crystal clear through our sound system, saying I was too straight-laced to figure out. That's when she found her voice. Started with a whisper that turned into this desperate kind of pleading. Asked me what I was doing, asked where I got these, just kept repeating that it wasn't what it looked like. I didn't say anything. Just let the slideshow continue. Had it set to show each photo for 10 seconds. 47 photos total. Plenty of time to really absorb each one. She tried to come closer, reaching for me. I stepped back, told her very calmly to sit down and watch. The begging turned to crying. Big, ugly sobs that would have broken my heart a week ago. Now they just sounded like noise. She collapsed onto the couch. Couldn't stop looking at the TV, even though each image was clearly destroying her. When the slideshow finally ended, I paused on the last photo. Her and the mystery guy's hand, champagne, that dress. Let the silence sit there for a minute. She was still crying, trying to catch her breath, mascara running down her face. Finally managed to form words. Asked me how long I'd known. Told her about the iCloud sync, the one I'd set up to be helpful, to make her life easier. Her face went through about 5 different emotions processing that. Shock, horror, maybe some respect for the irony of it. Hard to say. She tried the usual playbook then. It wasn't serious. It didn't mean anything. She loved me. She made a mistake. Words just tumbling out between sobs. Throwing everything at the wall to see what would stick. Asked her when it started. She claimed it had only been a few weeks. I pulled up the metadata. Showed her the dates. Asked her to try again with the truth this time. She crumbled. Said 3 months. 3 months of lying to my face every single day. 3 months of hotel rooms and restaurants and whatever else didn't get photographed. Wanted to know who he was. She hesitated, and I told her I could probably figure out from the photos if she wanted to play that game. She gave me a name. Some creative director at an advertising agency she'd been trying to get contract work with. The pieces clicked into place. All those potential client meetings that ran late. The new opportunities she'd been excited about. The confidence boost she'd been riding. None of it was about her work. It was all him, dangling career advancement like a carrot. Asked if it was worth it. If whatever he promised her was worth throwing away 3 years. She just cried harder. Started with excuses. She felt stuck in her career. Felt like she wasn't going anywhere. Felt like she needed someone who understood her professional ambitions. Classic midlife crisis stuff, except she was only 27. Told her I didn't care about her reasons. Told her she had made active choices every single day to betray me, and now she got to live with the consequences of those choices. She asked what I was going to do. Her voice was small, scared. Maybe thinking I'd put the photos online or send them to her family or something dramatic. Told her the truth. I wanted her out. Tonight, pack whatever she could fit in her car, and the rest we'd figure out later. I'd stay somewhere else in the night to give her time. But when I came back tomorrow, she needed to be gone. She tried to negotiate. Asked for time to find a place. Said she had nowhere to go. Could we please talk about this like adults? I almost laughed at that last part. Adults. Like adults don't lie for 3 months straight. Told her she could stay with friends or family or get a hotel room. Ironic, considering how much time she'd already spent in hotels. She had 24 hours to figure out, and that was more generous than she deserved. Grabbed my keys, my phone, my wallet. She was still on the couch, sobbing, asking me to please just listen. Please give her a chance to explain properly. Stopped at the door. Turned around one last time. She looked destroyed And part of me, some small stupid part, felt bad for her. But mostly I just felt empty. Told her the iCloud sync was still active, and I'd be keeping all the evidence in case she tried to make this difficult. Told her I'd already spoken to a lawyer about our lease situation and knew exactly what my rights were. Her face went from sad to terrified. The reality of consequences was finally hitting her. Asked her one more question before I left. Asked if she'd ever actually loved me or if I'd just been convenient. She said, of course, she loved me, that I was everything she wanted, that she'd just made a horrible mistake. I nodded, told her that if she loved me, she had a really messed up way of showing it. Then I walked out. I spent that night at Mike's place. Finally told him everything. Showed him some of the photos. He went from sympathetic to angry on my behalf faster than I'd seen anyone process information. Offered to go back to my apartment and help throw her stuff out the window. Had to talk him down from that. Crashed on his couch, barely slept. Kept checking my phone, expecting texts from Megan, but nothing came. Part of me wondered if she'd actually leave, or if I'd come home to a whole dramatic scene. Got back to the apartment around noon. The next day, her car was gone from the parking spot. Opened the door, and the place felt different immediately. Empty in a way that had nothing to do with furniture. Most of her stuff was gone. Clothes, toiletries, her desk setup. She left bigger furniture items. Probably couldn't fit them in her car. The apartment looked weird with random gaps where her things used to be. Found a note on the kitchen counter, handwritten on the back of a grocery receipt. She apologized again. Said she'd be in touch about getting the rest of her things. Said she'd transfer her half of next month's rent. Very practical, all things considered. That was it. 3 years together. And it ended with a note on a receipt. Thought that would be the end of it. Figured we'd exchange some texts about logistics. Maybe see each other one more time when she picked up the rest of her stuff. Then just drift into being strangers. Clean break. Move on with my life. But life doesn't do clean breaks, apparently. For days after she moved out, I was leaving work around 6 p.m. Had been putting in extra hours, partly because there was actual work to do, partly because going home to that empty apartment sucked. Walking to my car in the parking garage, I saw someone standing by the entrance. Recognized her immediately, even though she was soaked from the rain that had started up. No umbrella. Hair plastered her face, looking miserable. Megan. She saw me and straightened up. Tried to fix her hair, even though it was pointless in that rain. Started walking toward me before I could decide whether to acknowledge her or just get in my car and leave. She stopped a few feet away. Told me she needed to talk to me, that she'd been trying to work up the courage all week. Her voice was different, smaller, less confident than I'd ever heard it. Told her we didn't have anything to talk about. She'd made her choices. I'd made mine and we were done. Moved to walk past her. She stepped in front of me. Not aggressive, just desperate. Said it wasn't what I thought. And before I could respond with the obvious, she clarified that she meant the whole situation wasn't what I thought. That got my attention. Asked what she meant. The story that came out was wild. Turns out the creative director, the guy from the photos, had been playing her from the start. He'd approached her about freelance work. Seemed legitimate. Started talking about long-term contracts and opportunities at his agency. But there was always a catch. Meetings that happened to be over drinks. Drinks that turned into dinner. Dinner that somehow ended up at hotels because they were close to the restaurant and more private for discussing sensitive business information. Classic manipulation playbook, looking back on it. But Megan had been struggling with her freelance career. Feeling stuck. Watching other people her age climb corporate ladders while she was hustling for scraps. When the successful creative director showed interest in her work and promised to help, she convinced herself it was professional. She swore they never actually slept together. Said it came close a few times, but she'd always stopped it. The photos and videos I'd seen were basically him pushing boundaries and her going along with it because she thought it would lead to real opportunities. I asked if that was supposed to make it better. Told her she'd still lied to me for 3 months. Still snuck around. Still prioritized this guy over our relationship. She nodded, started crying again. Said she knew. Said she'd been stupid and desperate and got played. Then told me what happened after she left our apartment. Apparently, She'd texted the creative director, told him everything had blown up and she needed the job he'd been promising her. Needed something good to come out of losing me. He'd ghosted her. Completely. Blocked her number, blocked her on social media. Acted like she didn't exist. All those promises about contracts and connections just disappeared the second she needed him to follow through. She'd spent the last 4 days staying at her friend Sarah's place, spiraling over the fact that she destroyed her relationship for absolutely nothing. No job, no opportunity. Just empty promises from a guy who'd been using her for his own entertainment. Then she pulled out an envelope from her jacket. It was soggy from the rain, but still intact. Held it out to me. I took it confused. Inside was a formal complaint letter, typed up officially with dates and details. It was addressed to the HR department of the creative director's company. She'd written everything. How he'd approached her, how he'd used the promise of work to manipulate her into compromising situations, how he'd ghosted her when she actually needed the professional help he'd promised. She'd even included screenshots of their text conversations about contracts that never materialized. Asked her why she was showing me this, what she expected me to do with it. She said she wasn't asking me to do anything. She'd already sent it to the company's HR. She just wanted me to know that she was trying to make at least one thing right. That even if I never forgave her, even if we never spoke again, she didn't want him doing this to anyone else. The envelope she'd given me was a copy for her records. She said she wanted me to have it, so I'd know she was serious. I stood there in the rain, holding the soggy envelope, looking at the woman I'd loved for 3 years who'd somehow become a stranger. She looked broken in a way I'd never seen. Not crying to manipulate me broken, but actually devastated about who she'd become. Told her the truth, that it didn't change anything between us. We were still done. The trust was gone, and it wasn't coming back. But maybe, just maybe, filing that complaint was the first honest thing she'd done in months. She nodded, said she understood, said she didn't expect forgiveness. Just wanted me to see that she was trying to be better. Then she did something I didn't expect. She apologized. Not the crying, dramatic apology from the dinner confrontation. Just a simple, genuine sorry. Said she'd spent the last few days really thinking about what she'd done, and she finally understood how badly she messed up. Said she didn't cheat because I wasn't enough or because she didn't love me. She cheated because she'd gotten so obsessed with her career struggles that she convinced herself it was okay to compromise her values if it meant getting ahead. Classic selling your soul situation. Told her I appreciated the honesty, even if it was too late. Asked if she found a place to live. She said she was crashing with Sarah temporarily, looking at apartments she could actually afford on her actual freelance income. The reminder of reality hitting her, I guess. We stood there awkwardly for another minute. The rain kept falling, water dripping off both of us. Finally told her to take care of herself. Meant it, surprisingly. She started to walk away, then turned back. Asked if I'd ever be able to forgive her. Not get back together. Just forgive her eventually. I told her honestly that I didn't know. Maybe someday, but right now the wound was too fresh. Told her to focus on fixing herself and not worry about my forgiveness. She nodded one more time and walked away. Didn't look back, just headed toward her car that was parked on the street. I watched her go, then got in my car and sat there for a while before starting the engine. About 3 weeks later, I saw a news article online. Local creative director fired following internal investigation into misconduct. The article was vague on details, but mentioned multiple complaints from women about inappropriate behavior and false promises of career advancement. Didn't surprise me at all. Guys like that never just have one victim. Megan's complaint had probably opened the floodgates for other women to come forward. At least something good came out of the whole mess. Texted her a screenshot of the article. Just the image, no comment. She responded with a single word. Good. Then added that she hoped those other women got some closure. We didn't text again after that. Mike asked me a few weeks later if I'd heard from her. Told him about the parking garage conversation and the HR complaint. He said it was weird but kind of respectable that she'd actually followed through. I agreed. Didn't make what she did okay, but at least she tried to do one right thing. The apartment felt too big after she left, too full of memories I didn't want anymore. When my lease came up for renewal 2 months later, I didn't renew. Found a smaller place across town. Fresh start kind of situation. Packed up 3 years of shared life into boxes and tried not to think too hard about it. Her furniture stayed behind per our agreement. She'd arranged to have her friend pick it up, and I made sure I wasn't home when that happened. Didn't need the awkward goodbye or whatever that would have been. Started going to therapy around this time. Not because I was falling apart or anything dramatic. Just needed someone neutral to help me process everything. The therapist said what I'd gone through was a specific kind of betrayal that messes with your ability to trust. No kidding. Worked through a lot of stuff in those sessions. How I'd ignore my gut feelings sometimes when things seemed off. How I'd gotten comfortable and stopped really paying attention. How the iCloud thing was both a blessing and a curse because knowing everything made it harder in some ways. Dating again seemed impossible for a while. The idea of trusting someone enough to be vulnerable felt like setting myself up to get hurt again. But life moves forward whether you're ready or not. Eventually started going out with friends more. Said yes when Mike tried to set me up with his girlfriend's co-worker. Nothing came of it, but it was a start. Baby steps back to feeling normal. The weirdest part of the whole thing was how it changed my relationship with technology. I'm an engineer, I love tech. But now I couldn't look at iCloud or any syncing service without thinking about this. The thing that exposed the truth also kind of ruined the innocence of convenience for me. Ended up being way more careful about what I sync and share. Keep things more compartmentalized now. Maybe that's paranoid. Maybe it's just being realistic about how much access we give people to our digital lives without thinking about it. About 6 months after everything went down, I ran into one of Megan's friends at a coffee shop. We made awkward small talk, and eventually she asked if I knew Megan had moved to Denver. Apparently couldn't handle staying in Austin after everything. Can't say I blamed her. The city probably felt different for her now, tainted by all the lies and the fallout. Fresh start somewhere new made sense. I considered the same thing, but decided to stay. Austin was my city first, and I wasn't going to let this chase me away. The friend mentioned that Megan had gotten a regular job at a marketing firm, something stable with actual salary and benefits. No more freelancing, no more networking events with creepy creative directors. She'd apparently learned her lesson about chasing success through shortcuts. I said that was good, and I meant it. Didn't wish her harm. Didn't want her life to fall apart. Just wanted her to be someone else's story now, not mine. Looking back on everything now, I think about how one small decision created this massive chain reaction. Setting up that iCloud sync seemed so innocent at the time. Just being helpful, making life easier, being the good boyfriend. But it ended up being the thing that saved me from wasting more time in a relationship that wasn't what I thought it was. If I hadn't set it up, who knows how long the line would have continued? Months? Years? Maybe I'd have proposed and married someone who was living a double life. So that's it, folks. Wild ride, right? I know this story probably hits different depending on your own experiences. Some of you have been through similar situations. Some of you probably think I handled it wrong or should have done things differently. That's cool. Everyone's got their own take. If you made it this far, I appreciate you listening to my story. It helps to get out there, you know? If you've got thoughts, drop them in the comments. And hey, if you enjoyed the story or found it interesting, consider hitting that like button and subscribing. Helps the channel grow and lets me know you want more content like this. Take care of yourselves out there, and remember, always read the fine print on your iCloud settings. You never know what you might find.